Hillbilly Harrison League. Punt Billy, kick Billy, pass Billy, hit Billy, Hillbilly Harrison League. Hillbilly Harrison League podcast.
Hey, welcome to the podcast. Hey, Dave, thanks for joining us. Hey, Rennie, Junior, and Adam, how you doing? Good to. I think those are probably the only three that are still with us.
Anybody else is allowed.
Yeah. Maybe Brennan.
There's not a membership,
No, we're not charging us. We were just off air. We were talking about subscriptions. You don't even have to pay like $15 a month.
No.
No.
You don't have to have YouTube Plus even. Regular YouTube.
No. Well, if you want to get rid of the ads, maybe. So no, I don't think I have those activated. So
okay.
If you're watching an ad to watch this, I apologize.
Okay.
So.
Well, here we are, both of us on the outside looking in playoffs.
Yeah.
You more than me, but what can you do?
Hey, welcome
We're
to
both mad, but you're mad for different reasons. Maybe you're over it, and I'm like, what can I do? I
would like to officially welcome you to Loserville.
Yeah.
Three game losing streak outside the playoffs.
And I feel like I've just put together decent lineups and I've scored points. And then I look around the league and I see all these people I would have beat, and I'm like, dang it.
Although, man, how did you get you're outside the playoffs. We got 2 weeks left, but you drew a bye this week. How'd you manage that?
I don't know that I consider it bye because, if you score in the 70s, I think I can handle that. But 2 weeks ago, you scored enough to beat me, so.
Tell me
which
what
your teams is going to show up.
Now, explain to me what you were saying before off air. That when you put the master schedule together, because this is for Adam, when you put the master schedule together, that you look for the last 2 weeks and that you gave yourself me and Danny, the last 2 weeks to get the playoffs, what's your thought process when you build that schedule? Did you just look forward and know that was going to happen and that you gave Adam the toughest match? How does that work?
You think I would be smart enough and enough of a predictor to make it to where this week 1 and 2 play each other? That's pretty impressive if I'm able to do that.
Yeah. I just know that we were talking, I'm sure Adam wants to know that this was intentional, that you planned this whole thing out, that you get to play me and Danny, and that he has to play Rennie. And so, yeah.
Okay. We did not have a it doesn't matter. He's going to believe what he wants to believe, I guess.
Well, I'll just say in the past, if it's ever I think maybe there was a year, because you have to go in and manually make it alter our schedule.
Well, and I kind of got off track somehow. Like a bunch of years ago, I set it with a randomizer, and then every year I was going to have, that the next year, the first year it'd be, the team you play first week and second week would repeat, and then the next year, third and fourth, and the next, but then somehow, I don't know, but then in the middle of that, one person, somebody drops off, and so it's all different anyway. And so this year I went back to total randomizer and started from scratch, which means I got to build it the
whole schedule
every week, 1 week at a time to make sure which takes forever. So next year, if it defaults to this year, it'll be exactly the same, and I only have to change the last 2 weeks to make it random, to pick whichever, and just not make it whoever we played twice this year. But I always have to remember what that is. But yeah, this was all random, and yeah. No, I mean,
except for the fact that you get to play me and Danny. It's all.
You don't have a history of not making the playoffs, so I would have never, if I would have put Danny and Ed, and I would have been right on one. I mean, Danny's solid. He's 7-5, and he would have to lose twice to have a chance for me or Ed to catch him. And
I'm just Adam. I'm kidding. So, well, let's give our awards out. Then we'll jump into side bet, some other stuff that.
Yeah, we got awards.
That we
you go first.
So, all right, you got to look at his. So. So my award this week for Hillbilly of the Week, for this week, we got to go all the way back to week 1 when this person was on the list. So he is a 2-time winner, but probably more funny than anything. So it's Josh. Josh is who I'm giving the award to. So congratulations, Ratty. I don't know if you remember why we gave it to him the first time.
Oh,
It was because he didn't come to the draft.
yes, yeah.
I don't know if that's been said here.
Which really had nothing to do with performance, other than
Just not showing up.
life performance. But yeah.
Exactly. So, but here's the reason. I mean, Josh didn't do terrible. He lost. But I think that we had this, with alongside the side bet and some other stuff, we had kind of like really built this matchup between Josh coming off of high points last week.
Yeah.
He's facing Adam. He was a couple different teams picked to have the highest points in that week. He got 20-something points from his kicker. He gets 20-plus points from his quarterback. And you're like,
yeah.
And nothing.
I picked him for high points. He got almost half less this week.
Yeah. Well, Swift going out did not help.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't, injuries are part of the whole fantasy thing. And, it's so much worse when it's in game and the person only has a couple points. So like this week I had McCaffrey and Waller that got hurt in game with 3 points. Like that, if if they get hurt that week and you got time to put somebody else in, even if they're not as good, you can live with it. But boy, mid game, that sucks.
Yeah. And the big Thursday football matchups, Thanksgiving, watch your running back get 3 yards and be done.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's not necessarily his fault. It's just it was a big letdown for that game.
And he was supposed to beat Adam.
Yeah. And we were all rooting for him to beat Adam. And
he didn't even come close.
So
he didn't even put up a fight.
No. So congratulations, Josh. You earned this one. You're our Hillbilly of the Week.
Well, I got a lot of deserving guys. Obviously, you got 6 winners every week to generally pick from, but I'm going with Ed.
That would have been my pick too, just because much
he
as
didn't get high points. Rennie got high points, and Rennie was a good comeback as he had been struggling, and he came back strong and won everything for the whole weekend. I think with his normal, bookie betting, he won $3 million this weekend. He did pretty well. So, but yeah, I'll go with Ed because I don't know how many people.
Lee had won 6 straight games.
Yeah, he'd been on fire.
And he still scored 110. So it's not like that Lee didn't show up.
Yeah, I think that beat just about every.
Well, and so in marking the side bets, Lee was a heavy favorite to win that game. Lee was also another person that some people thought maybe would get the highest points. Ed was actually in consideration he was the dog. He was the guy that nobody was expecting to do anything. You thought maybe he doesn't show up this week. He could have had the lowest points. And so as much as Josh was a letdown, Ed was like a big surprise. So I agree with you. I think I would have given it to Ed too. And he just he put himself back in the hunt.
He's right there. Yeah, me and him both need some help. We need a couple people ahead of us to lose, but he'll be right there if somebody does. And
he's got the potential to put up big points any given week with his lineup.
Like Deebo Samuel has been, he's gotten 20 plus a bunch of weeks, but now he's hurt. So that's going to set him back a little bit. But do you think there's Fournette is number 8 running back? None of us would have picked, I don't think I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking out there, but a lot of people had plenty of chances to pick him. he went pretty late. I don't know whether.
Don't you think Ed picked him simply because of his Tampa Bay Brady connection?
That's what I was getting at. Do you think he really thought he'd be this good, or did he just pick him because
I think he picked him because he's a Buccaneer.
Yeah, and he rode with him, and boy, has it paid off. And he's I mean,
Now he hasn't
he's
always
decent
scored 37 points, but I mean,
yeah,
he's had plenty of. He's had a nice season for drafted 72nd.
yeah.
Not too.
I mean, that's to be a top 10. You always want that, a top 10 running back. You think it's hard enough to pick a top 10 running back. You're like, oh, if my first round running back is a top 10 running back, you're like, oh, shoot, good job. But to have him be like that far down and be, that's it.
Yeah. What is that? Late fifth, early sixth.
Good job, Ed.
It was
Team of the week, even though I kind of was, if he would have lost, there would have been one less person I had to worry about, passing me up if I, taking a spot that I'm fighting to get. But now there's two of us fighting.
Yeah. So you talked about it. Rennie showed up big this weekend. Well, you don't have to do much against Junior. So but he did enough. And Junior scored 94. So, but man, those losses, those L's just keep coming for Junior. So 6 in a row for him. Adam shows why he's Adam, beats Josh. We talked about that.
I mean, not a big week, 98. I mean, but still, he plenty.
But he did enough, right?
Yeah.
And now talk about your matchup with Brennan. That was a close one. It felt like it could have gone anyway, and then it just broke Brennan's way.
All day Sunday, like I'm, and I don't even know why I look at it, but ESPN all along has the projections of how many points they think you're going to score, and I was like high points the entire week, all of Sunday until it just started dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping, and then it still came down to close to the end, and then I was like, well, Gibson, he's had as many weeks with big points as he's had not big points if you look at his whole season, and he could have came out and they could have struggled or got behind and had to throw a ton, and he could have ended with 5 points, but he didn't.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like you said, losing Waller and McCaffrey, that definitely doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
doesn't help. Carolina's defensive score for you. That's a tough one
against Miami. I mean, is Miami good or is Carolina had been doing good for 2 weeks in a row. I was like, man, I got my defense.
It's probably my fault. I benched Tua.
There you go.
So, yeah,
it comes back to you and your dumb choices.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, that hurt. And then at first, I was kind of glad that, like, at the end of the San Francisco game, Gold missed a 40-yard field goal that would have given me a 14-point lead instead of 13 point instead of 9. That I was like, that's a good cushion. Like, they have to they don't score, they have to get over 100 yards. And I was like, but he would have beat that anyway. So I didn't lose by that field goal.
Yeah,
that's
And then so it brings. We'll just recap real quick. Brian had a real down game. I mean, he went from really doing well, and even in his losses, scoring well. So he's had several bad weeks in a row here. But man, it wouldn't have mattered probably because Travis is just rolling.
Yeah, he's got plenty of running backs to plug in, even when people get hurt. He's rolled with this guy named Cousins. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah, yeah. He picked him up and he's done just fine.
Yeah, so like he's got, and Mixon had a game. Even Russ Wilson. I mean, Wilson didn't look good, but he still ended up with a bunch of points. So
yeah, I mean, you look at the next matchup, Lee and Ed, and Lee probably. Here's what hurt Lee. Lee did great in every position except for wide receivers. His wide receivers just never really kind of got over that hump, and he's got Hilton maybe, and that would have helped him out a little bit. I don't know if it would have won the game for him, but his wide receivers didn't.
You can't bank on 25 from your defense, every week. That covers a lot of ills.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Have you gotten 25 from the defense? I don't think I have this season.
He picked. I think I had Miami. I think I dropped them in favor of like the defense. I've had Miami at some point in time.
You could probably make an all-star team out of people that you've given up on.
Yeah, well, yeah. So congratulations, Ed. He beats. I mean, Lee's got a hate. I mean, Lee's fine. He's 8-4, but he had been rolling. He scores 110 and just loses to Ed, who just caught fire there. And then I watched mine. You know, Danny's 7-5. It could have been a totally different thing. He could have been.
Oh,
I mean, how many opportunities were there for me to win that game?
you were projected the entire, like, most of the time. I don't know
Yeah.
where you went wrong.
Well, Godwin scores 0.7 points. He was in the negative most of that game.
Yeah.
You know, Higbee, my tight end, did nothing. You know, Saquon had a bad game. Cam gets benched. So 21 from your kicker, you would think that would be enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That.
And Seattle
right.
actually started off strong. You were like, man, this could actually break my way.
I know.
And they were a touchdown away in that first quarter from it being really interesting, and they just couldn't hold it together. So
Kind of wanted you to beat Danny there, just because I think that would have been one more person I would have had a chance to.
Well, I mean, if I start Tua and I start Williams over Saquon, which I probably would have never done. If Saquon's going to start, you're going to probably play him. I mean, anybody would have, but I mean, Williams gets 17 points at the running back position instead of the 5 I got, and Tua got 15, which isn't a ton, but it's a lot more than Cam got. So
yeah,
any of that would have been enough to. So, but it is what it is. So along with all last week's action, we had the side bet. So I'll just ask you, because I was following the whole time because I was trying to keep track of it. Did you give any thought to it after you filled it out?
Well, I didn't even go back to, like, I just sort of remembered who I'd picked. I knew I'd picked myself.
Yep.
And I knew who I picked for high and low, but I couldn't remember most of my other picks. And once I knew I didn't have high and low wasn't looking good, I didn't think I had a chance. And then once I saw your recap, I knew I didn't have a chance, and I was like, oh well.
I mean, you bombed at it, Dave.
I did.
10 points. So
I did. I picked. It was. I don't think it was my fault as much as it was the people I picked were supposed to win. They should have. It's their fault that they didn't.
Okay.
Including myself.
Place the blame on those bad teams.
Yeah, Josh really blew it, and I'm disappointed in him. Danny was supposed to get low points against you, and he came close.
Yeah.
You know, but he screwed it up. That's his fault. And then, I picked Junior. I picked Junior to win.
If Josh does his job and I do my job, you're in a different boat.
Yeah. So the Junior pick, that's my fault. I picked Junior to win. That's on me. The rest of them, I think, was Adam the only one I got right? Did I pick Brian? I must have picked Brian to win.
You got I'd have to pull it back up.
No, there's no way I picked Adam because I picked Josh for high points.
You got right matchup number 3, which would have been you picked Travis.
Yeah. My old buddy Travis is the only one that came through for me. Everybody else.
Yep. So
a lot of people probably missed.
Well, you know what? So the funny thing, and I just asked because it was fun. Adam, congratulations. I think Rennie got hosed a little bit because not hosed. I mean, we set it up. Everybody knew the rules going into it. Rennie picked 5 out of 6 of the matchups right. I mean, that's pretty good. He just missed out. And Adam got 4 out of the, or 3 of those 3 right. And then, but Adam hit the low points by picking Brian.
That's like 2 wins right there, right?
Yeah, so that's 2 wins. So that catapulted him up to tied with Rennie. I mean, Rennie did great on the matchup. So he got 5 right. Adam got one of the bonuses right, and then Adam got so Rennie hurt himself by not scoring more because he the tiebreaker was choose how many points the high points team will get, and without going over. And Rennie picked like 137. He only scored 125. Adam picked 117, so he was the closest.
I think I was pretty close.
What'd you pick?
I'm just grasping here. I don't know.
Okay. No,
in my head,
scored 10 points. But
what do you think now in hindsight? Do you think that doing that 20 for those was?
Well, I think that those are tougher picks.
It is.
So you're rewarding the tougher choice because you got more options, you got more variables. Um, Now for you, all of it was tough. So that
mattered. Yeah.
yeah. But there was no way for most people that played to live track the whole thing. And if you could have, you would have seen that there was so much in play on Monday night that it was really interesting. Like who gets the highest points and who gets low points, like all that played in. And like, that Rennie and Adam were going back and forth. And even if I somehow could have flipped that and won, like that would have changed everything. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of variables there that were in play on Monday night that made it fun. And for me, who had all the information in front of them and was trying to, it was, I'll say more exciting, right? But I don't know that Rennie or Adam or anybody else
none of us
played.
really see that.
Yeah. So, and I could have just sent out everybody's picks and they could have kept, but it wasn't like if we would have bet on pick every NFL game Thanksgiving week, then like you can track that easier. Everybody could keep track at home and know like what their score was and how they were doing and, something like that. So it was a fun side bet. It was, I would have liked to won that because that would have helped me get in the plus side, but I
just realized something.
What?
I pretty much just bought this, didn't I?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Adam won $60.
There's nothing free in this world. It all comes
Adam
back.
won. So whatever Adam wins in fantasy football this year, he just won an extra $50. So in the first side bet, I won 50. I just gave 10 of that back, so I'm at 40 now. So this league is still costing me money.
Oh yeah, because you were more than 60 coming in.
Yeah, don't remind me. So,
oh gosh.
All right, Dave. So I want to propose a question for you. I was talking to somebody else who does a fantasy football league. We've talked about, you brought up some changes that we were just hypothesizing about scorekeeping and all these different things.
Yeah, I mean, it was a way to talk about comparing teams rather than record, but yeah, I get you.
yeah. Like we're not actually changing the way that we keep score or the way that we do head-to-head matchups. Like that vote's never going to get passed, but it was fun to talk about. So we know that Travis is a proponent for flex. He'll ride that horse till it dies. Okay. Yeah. But I was talking to some guys and I was telling them about our league and what we do. Told them we have a podcast. They were super jealous. I don't know if our other 10 teams know how spoiled they are. They get write-ups from you every week. They get this podcast. They just they get a chat group that's constant. It's like I was talking to a guy
occasional side bet.
He would pay $60 entry fee on top of his gambling fee just to be a part of this group. So if one of our guys starts if one of our teams starts not filling out their lineup every week, we've got willing participants that would slide in there and are willing to pay for it because they've heard about what this league has to offer. But
word is out.
Yeah. So we were talking about different things, and I said that we paid out a high points winner every week, and he said that they do the same, but they also pay $10 every week to the team that has the highest scoring player on it. Oh. And he said that there's a lot of weeks where that's a different, and so they have kind of a same philosophy, which is, it's fun to try to earn back your money as the season goes on, and you know what I mean. So I just throwing that out. Like, have you ever thought of any other payout options? Like, I know that we did a bonus at the end of one of the seasons where if you had the highest score for the whole season, you got a bonus $10.
Because I remember I tracked it all the way through with the current highest and
what the highest was. And I didn't tell you this in advance, so you have no idea way of pulling this up. But it'd be interesting to see how many weeks the high points team would not have the highest scoring player on their team, to know when would you get double? Like, okay, I got high points and I had the highest player, or
I don't think it would have been this week because I think Fournette had 37. I don't
yeah.
think any quarterback had that, and he didn't win high points.
Yeah, so that's a week where like
Yeah.
Ed gets $10 for having the highest scoring player, but Rennie gets high points. So it's just an
Yeah.
interesting thing. It would
I
have
mean,
to it would be a situation where we would have to probably raise the entry fee if we didn't want to take away from the final pay.
So there's two schools of thought with that is the teams that make the playoffs that get extra money and the team that wins it all or wins the regular season. There's a good chance that they got there by having a player win those weeks anyway. So they might end up getting that same money, or at least some of it. Probably not all of it as much as they would get, but you wouldn't necessarily have to add an entry fee. You would definitely reduce the total payout for the winner, would be less, but there's a good chance that the same two people that get 1 and 2, and then the person that wins regular season, those 3 people that had good years would probably get a lot of that money.
Yeah. But what you do is you get a team, and I don't know this for a fact, but let's say Ed doesn't make the playoffs. But he might have had the highest scoring player in Brady or Fournette 1 or 2 weeks. And so you give some of those other teams more options to maybe earn $10 or $20 throughout the season. Not saying that happens very often, but it was just something that was interesting. And so I was just going to ask you if there was any other things that you've seen or thought of that, because we're a pretty traditional, pretty conservative league. Change comes slow. So has there been any
I mentioned last week, we had the 1 week where we paid out the toilet bowl winner got like $30 or something.
Okay.
And that got nixed after that. I think I toyed around with negatives. One year, like you get -10 if you forget to start somebody that was
penalties for
clearly out for 3 days ahead, like not like an hour before or something, but if somebody's like on IR for 2 days and they still get started, then a penalty, or at lowest score, I think, of the week, you get minus. So you could end up, more money back in the pool for the winner to get, or, owing. Like if you're the lowest, I don't know. But yeah, there's different stuff like that the individual high points, the high points overall, kind of thing. I'd even thought about, regular season. We play now, it's 14 weeks of it, and only one person gets, it's a chunk. It's, what is it? The full 60, I think, that you get. So even like doing first, second, third or something gets a little bit. It would take a little bit off of, the overall. But again, there's a chance that first, second, or third person would win it all anyway. So
I think that this is all good discussion to have at the end of the season gathering that we have at the tavern.
Yeah, there we go. Because I think first, second, because you play so many weeks of regular season that getting to second and third, I wouldn't have any trouble. I'd vote for that, to like have a little bit of payout.
Well,
because I'm not saying that because I'm going to have it this year. I'm nowhere near first, second, third.
Imagine if it's probably not going to be Adam and Lee because they're going to play each other, but imagine like Adam and Travis finished with a tie record and one of them would win the overall season because of points. And then it's like that guy that got second, even though he has a, 10-4 record or whatever it is, 11-3, gets nothing.
Yeah. And I do like the idea of rewarding more people for good performance, because again, I've said it, a lot of times it doesn't really reduce the overall winner as much as what you would think, because the same people that are doing good end up winning some of that anyway, most of the time. Yeah, this year's been a little odd in that we've only had a couple high point repeat winners, and it's very spread out. Like
almost everyone's won high points. Almost.
I mean, and there's been plenty of years where like half the league doesn't.
Well, we go back, we talk about Rennie's season where he went undefeated. I'm sure in that season there was a couple times he won high points. He high amount of wins up at the top, right? And then everybody up. And so when you got a lot more parity this year, we'll just take a look real quick at the standings. We've got Like you said, we got Adam and took back first place at 9-3 because Josh didn't show up this week. Okay, that's your fault, Josh. We just want to make sure that you know that. That's why you got Hillbilly. We got Lee in at 8-4 in second place. Lee actually has a point bump over Adam. So if things were to change there and Lee gets a win this week, and he can take back, he'll have a tie record, but obviously he would have beat him and have a little bit of cushion there with the point differential. But we've got Travis in third place, tied for second, 8-4, both of them. He is quite a bit of points though behind Lee. You got Rennie in fourth, and you got three teams actually tied there at 7-5. Rennie, Brennan, and Danny, Dark Horse, right? And then you got at 6-6, rounding out our playoff list, you got Josh and Brian, and both of those guys have to feel like that they're in a hot seat just because they got to win to keep that spot. I mean, they both don't have the points to hold on to it if somebody else were to win.
Well, Josh is right there with me. He's got like 3 more points. But obviously, if he loses and I win.
Ed doesn't have like a big point bump. So if he wins, he's going to have to win and overtake somebody.
Like I could overtake Josh and he could overtake Brian easier based on points, but a lot can happen in 2 weeks. That means I got to prove that I can win a game first.
Yeah. So Brian, for a while, was leading our league in points, even though he was down. But man, his points have dropped off over the last few weeks, and so he's really dug himself in a little bit of hole. I mean, he's holding on to that playoff spot, and all he's got to do is continue to win, and he won't lose it. But
so then at this, I don't know if it's too early. Are some of these people at the top? Because when you're four now, because Rennie, I could catch Rennie. I mean, with 2 wins and him 2 losses, I have close to like 30 points down. So from 4 down, are you or 3 up? Are the top 3 trying to figure out where they want to be? Or are you just trying to win?
So here's where we are with playoff standings. Adam, Lee, and Travis are locked. They're 100%. They're in. ESPN is saying that Rennie and Brennan and Danny are 99, 99, and 93% chance of winning or still making the playoffs. Dave, you've got a 39% chance of, as far as ESPN's concerned, of making the playoffs. And Josh and Brian are at 83 and 72%. So they think that you got some work to do. It's not a possibility, but
it's the opposite, because they thought I was golden boy all season.
Yeah. Now they finally bought into your plan. They're like, oh wait, this guy really does suck.
Yeah, they finally figured it out, and they're like, oh wait, okay, now you're gonna be 9th.
Now I gotta. So if you're at the top, if you're Adam, Lee, and Travis, you're only thinking about winning, right? Because you get that $60 payout, and you just want to be the number 1 seed. But are you thinking that like Rennie, Brennan, that those guys may be thinking about who they want to play? And
I mean, it has to cross your mind. Not that you can control it, but until, especially with 2 weeks left, you can't predict.
Not this week, but next
any year, I think being in the 1 spot, because there's nobody that's, whoever ends up in the 8th spot right now, it's not somebody that's just on a tear to get there.
No, because I mean, and
because we've had years like that where the person that ends up in 8th is super strong.
Last year, I won 4 weeks in a row and missed the playoffs, and it was because you win all those weeks in a row, and I ended up 9th, but it was the teams in front of me just kept winning. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't break that.
But there's been years where that team you'd almost say they're the hottest team that got to 8th because they had to play really well to get there, and then they end up beating the first.
Yeah, and it didn't end up that way, because that's how me and Adam ended up with a side bet, because I was so confident about how good my team was doing. And I was like, okay, let's just go head to head, my score versus your score, and then I had a letdown week in what would have been probably 14 last year or whatever it was. But that's how I felt going into the playoffs. Like if I could have made it, because I was playing so well at the end. I got some players back, but
I don't know. I think with this year, especially with so much, even when like teams that you thought were good had bad
Yeah.
weeks, and teams you thought were bad had good weeks. I don't know that
oh yeah,
trying
there's
to figure out who
teams
you
where
play
people
in
yeah.
the playoffs is going to matter.
Obviously Adam probably thinks about it more than anybody else, but I'm sure Brennan and some of these other guys would too. They would look and be like, well, I'll do anything I can. I just don't want to play that team, whatever team that is. Right. And now it would be hard for me to say who that would be, but
Well, I think any of the top 3 right now.
if I was somebody, I would not want to play Travis.
Yeah. But I mean, even though Rennie came off one strong week, it's like, I'd take, you would, he's not as rock solid right now, maybe as the other top 3. And then for all those weeks that we thought that Brennan was the drafter golden boy, because he drafted 2 really good teams, they're both kind of,
Yeah.
Brennan did a lot this week by beating me, because we would have been flip-flopped.
Catapulted himself.
Yeah, he did, like having that 7th win, he would have been, because he had been struggling too, but that was huge that week. But Josh did not have that same week, and so now he finds himself, even after a super strong week, he comes back with one bad week, and now he's right back in the, in the precarious position of needing to win to stay in.
So let's just look at the matchups we got for this week. There's a great write-up in the app, in the ESPN app, if you haven't read it yet. So somehow by, it's all just a mystery how this schedule comes together. Dave doesn't do this intentionally at all.
I wish I could predict stuff like
we've got Brennan versus Brennan, two teams that he drafted, facing off in week 13. I mean, yeah, Dave didn't do this on purpose at all, but here we have it, week 13, Battle of the Brothers.
Yeah.
And everything's on the line.
Yeah. It means more to Josh than Brennan. Brennan can survive 1 week. If he loses 2, he puts himself someplace he doesn't want to be. But yeah,
I will say this: if Brennan knew the schedule before the draft, he did a great job drafting Josh's team, because Josh is in serious trouble this week.
Oh, really? I didn't even look at.
Well, he's got no one to replace Swift. And he's got Green Bay on bye. So he's got Jones and Adams, and his quarterback situation's fine, but his
and he's also sitting at the number 6 waiver spot, which means he's not going to get whoever he wants to get.
Yeah. So Josh has got a lot of work to do to just get a lineup created.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything. I mean,
no.
Brennan's whole team is going to be based on what Dak and Zeke do. So, if they've been more Jekyll and Hyde than anybody, and they play New Orleans, and we'll see what happens there. But
as much as I wanted him to fail, that Gibson kid looked pretty good.
Yeah. So you got to be. Last week you were rooting for Brennan to lose, and he didn't. But this week you probably rooting for Brennan to win, right?
I pretty much have to.
Yeah. So that, like you said, the
fantasy's
teams that are
a fickle
up above,
game.
yeah, the teams that are up above, you're like, go ahead and take your playoff spot, Brennan. I need Josh to lose his.
But what can you do for me now? That's what
exactly.
So yeah, for me, obviously, Brennan and Rennie are my 2 favorite people right now, because it gives me the best chance.
So in our second matchup, we've got can Danny beat Off All Weekend?
I think we know the answer to that.
Yeah. Danny's coming in off of a 3-game winning streak. Junior's coming in off of a 6-game losing streak.
It is a nice Mahomes versus Jackson matchup. That's kind of fun.
Yep. He gets the good thing about Danny's lineup is that opposite of Josh's, he gets to fill in spots that
Yeah.
he lost last week. Where
If he does it.
yeah, Danny, if you're watching this, and I'll text you later, don't worry. Fill out your lineup.
If he
I feel
does
like it's my job as like a Hillbilly Harrison elder to just send out, friendly reminders to people to
Yeah.
fill out their lineup.
It's like
So,
a lot of his best people on his team are on his bench right now.
yeah, exactly. So last week that he beat me with all of his, I lost to Danny on a
With-
Mahomes bye week.
Yeah, with his scrubs in.
Yeah,
To
think about that.
Tyrod Taylor and
Yeah,
Dylan, which Dylan was a strong play until they decided to have Jones come back. And I think Dylan still did fine, but that hurt his value a little bit.
yeah.
Tyler Boyd was got nothing.
Not when you got all those other wide receiver
Higgins and
yeah.
Chase were getting all the love.
Yeah.
But-
So next we've got Brian versus Rennie. And if Brian's going to turn his season around, it's got to be right now.
Yeah.
He can't. I don't think he can afford to lose this week and then try to get his playoff spot back. He's got.
But I mean, he's fine if me and Ed don't win. We have to win to, I can't lose my way in with points.
Yeah.
I got a lot of points, but I got to get a win one of these 2 weeks and one of these guys to lose, for me to pass them. So.
Well, but to think that, and maybe it will, but like to think that all those teams lose. I'm just thinking, if I'm Brian and if I'm Josh, I'd like to get a win this week.
Yeah.
Go a long way.
But I think Rennie proved that he's got and he's getting Kamara back, which maybe, he's still been kind of iffy, but and he plays early, he plays Thursday. So if he plays, and although your philosophy with Cam of Cam taking away a lot of rushes and rushing touchdowns away from McCaffrey, that usually played to the Taysom Hill thing.
Yeah.
When Taysom Hill plays, Kamara's numbers weren't always that great, but you got to think that they're not going to just, I don't know, like they don't want to put Simeon back in, so they're not going to run him and have him get hurt again. So
I think the interesting thing is going to be for Rennie is he's got to go with Burrow this week. And how do the Bengals show up against the Chargers? The Chargers have been Jekyll and Hyde. They've been great on defense, and they've been horrible on defense. So how will the Bengals show up,
Before we leave Rennie, did you see the clip of Sly running to try to catch that guy on the?
Yeah.
He just pulls his hammy and does like a baseball slide and did he really think he would catch him? He's not Metcalf.
It was, it's not lost on me, and Adam is right. He was like, we were all, we kind of entered into Rennie and Adam's world by creating an actual betting scenario. The cream rose to the top. These guys are professional gamblers.
I bet with frequency.
That
doesn't make me a professional.
You don't win with frequency, Dave.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Are you thinking about buying a Porsche? Do you have a Rolex?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, then you just stay in your lane. All right.
I'll stay.
Yeah. We've got Travis versus Ed. I don't even know what to say about this one. Obviously Travis is going to be a big favorite, but you never know what Ed's going to come with, right?
Yeah. The Fournette Brady, it's like the whole thing. Like this year, a lot of people, two of the top teams have gone with the quarterback running back, and it's worked out great because even if one doesn't do that great, the other one has an awesome week, and you get 20 and 30.
Well, they're on good teams.
Yeah,
right?
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Where these teams are scoring quite a bit of points. You don't have those weeks where, Brennan did have one week where, and he's not in the top three, but, where Dak and Zeke both did horrible. And then obviously he got beat pretty bad. But, Ed's been holding his own. We'll see what happens here. If Ed just paid attention the whole season, he wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah, he lost a couple weeks because of having somebody on his bench that he could have played.
Don't remind him of it, though. He'll get a little bit snippy. So
He's got things to do.
if this was the if we were doing the betting thing this week, though, I don't know any. I mean, other than just trying to catch a flyer, I don't know who's betting against Travis.
Yeah,
Be tough to bet against him.
Was
We've
that-
got the
was that
biggest.
almost a? Were you starting another side bet? Is that what?
No, it's not happening. No,
Not 2 weeks in a row. No.
no.
That's crazy. Tom.
No. Unless we're gonna bet on, unless Justin Tucker and Steph Curry are coming to kick field goals and shoot free throws.
Yeah.
What?
You could just keep going down a rabbit hole with those kind of scenarios, like
Oh
picking
well,
random.
Bleacher Report posted something very similar on their Instagram, and just like who you taking, $1 million on the line, Justin Tucker. Well, the truth is both of them would have hit one. Like, I don't have any doubt. Like, just walk up to the free throw line, Justin Tucker walk up and hit like that's gonna happen. So I was just thinking, like, okay, out of 100, how many are you gonna make? And like the crazy thing is that both of their percentages are like insane.
Yeah.
And so it really would be about.
Didn't they say that Curry can, like, when he's practicing, he considers it a miss if he hits the rim, even if he makes it?
Considers it a miss if he hits the rim. And then they were talking about Ray Allen and him, like he's about to pass Ray Allen for the most 3-pointers all time. They said that if he missed a season's worth, that he normally hits about 400 3-pointers in a season. That's his most is 410. If he missed his next 400 3-pointers, he would still have a better shooting percentage from three than Ray Allen does.
So me and you could shoot his next 400 for him, and he'd still have the better percentage.
He'd still have the better career percentage. And probably the same could be said about field goals with Justin Tucker. I mean, when I looked up his 30 to 40 yard field goal percentage, 96%, like, that's pretty much cash money.
Yeah.
And the extra point percentage that he has got to be, like, out of this world. So those are chip shots for him. So, and Adam brought up a good point, like, what's the timetable? So if fatigue doesn't play a factor in it, like, I would say that Adam's probably right.
Yeah.
His margin for error is so much greater than Steph's, even from the free throw line. But both of them do what they do at such a high percentage. It is kind of remarkable.
Because I guess I've never really been to say practice. Like, how many in a row do they kick before they take a break?
Yeah, I don't know.
I bet Curry goes and shoots 100 sometimes.
Yeah, did you see the last year there was a video of him at like a shoot around where he was shooting threes and he hit 105 in a row?
Yeah, like I don't think kickers do that.
No, I think I don't know what he would do. I mean, there's probably like a whole stretching process he goes through, a warm-up process, and then what's he do? Maybe he kicks like 20 field goals and then he's done for the day.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you would do that many. So
No.
So the bet itself is a little odd because it's something out of the ordinary for a kicker, and it's not for a basketball.
Well, and I think so I think you would probably have to lower it. You would say 100 free throws versus maybe it'd be like 40 field goals, and in that case, that Tucker's going to demolish him.
Yeah.
Because of the fatigue, you know what I mean? So, last we got the big matchup is Adam versus Lee. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the show, and this one's going to come down to they're both projected to do great. I don't know if they have their lineup set all the way they want them, but Lee came off of a big winning streak, just got a loss, scoring 110. That would have been enough to beat Adam last week if they would have played this past week. So, this is probably a winner-take-all situation. At least it would position one of them to take over first place. If Adam wins, that puts a stronghold on it for him. And it's going to come down to week 14, but it just positions him
But
it's a lot tougher road if he loses this week.
yeah, if Lee wins,
They're
then
tied, and it's
Travis
just
has just as good a road because week 14, Adam and Travis have to play each other,
yeah.
and Lee gets to play Josh.
Right.
Doesn't have to play.
But like they say in regular football, Lee controls his own destiny.
Yeah.
He knows if he wins the next 2 weeks,
he's
and
got
scores
enough
good
points.
he's probably got it. You know what I mean? And the same for Adam, because he plays Lee and Travis. He controls his own destiny.
Yeah.
If he wins out, he's gonna be the division leader or the regular season leader.
Yeah.
So, a lot comes down to those. And then we've got the matchup of the century. We've got you versus me. You with your playoff hopes in order. I mean, no way that 14 weeks ago when you put this schedule together, could you have, maybe you did. I think you probably did. You probably did it on purpose. We're playing each other. You thought Kevin's team's going to suck, and I'd like to play him and Danny in the last 2 weeks and screw Adam and whatever he thinks about the schedule. And so.
Actually, I think I play you and Junior.
Oh, yeah. Did I say Danny? No, I think. Oh, yeah, you and Junior. Yeah, that's right. I keep saying Danny. If you play me this week and Junior next week, it's almost as if you did it on purpose.
Yeah. Well, you've both had plenty of history of making the playoffs, so how was I to know that you would suck this year?
Yeah, you just take percentages. you just play the odds.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's not like you have a pushover team. You got some good guys. Gaskin's really coming along. Jefferson's been great. Who knows what kind of quarterback play you'll get, because that's for you that you never seem to know.
That's the Achilles heel. Yeah. If Carlson scores 21 again, I like my chances.
I think you'll beat me.
Your week. So I will say this, Dave. Nothing would make me happier than for you my podcast partner, to join me outside the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, you got a chance to do it.
Yeah. So
I'm kind of hoping that I took a page out of Josh's book and I picked up this, Logan Thomas guy who's been on IR for a while. He was on Adams, of all people's, IR almost all season.
Oh, and
he
then
ended up giving up on him, and I picked him up, not knowing that, actually I might have, because Waller got hurt. I had an open spot with a crappy guy before all the games played, and so I picked up Thomas, not knowing how bad Waller's injury was, and now he's going to be out. But I mean, Thomas, he looked okay. He had a touchdown that looked like a touchdown to me. Got called back, but so.
Let me just tell you my philosophy in this. If at the end of the season it's me and it's Danny and it's not going to be Danny, but let's just say it's me and it's Danny and it's Ed and it's Brian, and that's the 4 teams out.
Yeah.
Then I feel like that, man, that sucks, because I belong with these 3 guys that don't pay attention to their teams. They suck at fantasy, and there's no hope for me. But if I look down and I see it's me and it's Dave Miller, and it's Brennan and it's Josh.
It could be Josh, yeah.
I feel better about myself, because just a few weeks ago we were praising these guys for having great drafts, and we know that you are the fantasy guru, and so I would just feel better about myself and just say, any given season or 2, you can miss the playoffs and it's not that big of a deal.
Well, when it all comes down to it, we want you to feel better about yourself, Kevin. That's what this is all about.
So Dave, that's why I'm rooting for you to be with me in the fantasy cellar.
Well, try to score above 80. And
I can. That was going to be tough.
So hope for the best.
I was hoping more that you scored in the 60s. So if you could do that for me.
I have a lot of losses, but I don't have a lot of weeks where I really had bad scores. So
yeah, Have you thought about not checking your lineup and starting somebody that's not playing? Because that seemed to work out for other teams that want to be in the cellar.
That's true. That's true. No, we'll see.
All right. Well,
all the best.
My side bet days are probably over. Here's what I've learned: we can get 6 people to do almost anything in our league. We can't get more than that. We can't get more than that. the fact that we got 11 to show up to the draft was amazing.
Yeah.
If I can get 6 people to watch this podcast today, we'll consider that a win. And just like, how many people participated in the poll? 5. So that's right on par. Rennie dropping the White Men Can't Jump video clip is classic. That's one of my favorites. So thank you for that, Rennie. That made my day. So.
Alrighty, man. Let's wrap this up.
We will we'll see everybody on tomorrow night. What's our game tomorrow night, Dave?
It's the Saints versus, who is it? Oh, the team I had randomly. Who has a Saint on their team? Rennie does. We should know this. Who do the Saints play? They play
Cowboys.
Cowboys. Oh yeah, so big night for Brennan.
Big night for Brennan. Which means, Saints and Cowboys, that means there'll be a lot of action out there in the fantasy world, or at least a little bit.
Yeah. So I wonder who picks up and starts Taysom Hill. Nobody, right? I mean, there's too many other decent quarterbacks. Nobody picks him up and starts him, right?
Hold on, Dave.
Of all the talk, because last year he was like, if we could start him at, it wasn't really to start him at quarterback, it was to start him at tight end is what people wanted to do. As in Adam.
Wait. There's a new quarterback starting this week. I haven't started yet.
Yeah. I just wonder. It'll be interesting to see if anybody tries to catch him on a 30-point week, but.
All right. I got stuff I got to do here with the fantasy lineup, Dave. So we'll see everybody later.
All right.
All right.
Bye, everybody.